there is an agenda here for a massive attack on humans mentally, emotionally, and physically. And a lot of it's done through these poisons in the food and drink. But you raise another aspect, which is so important, which is these light bulbs. I have written extensively about these in a book called Remember Who You Are. This is out in early 2012. And I talk about them, in my events, because whenever you have a situation where something is patently ludicrous to pursue, but they still pursue it, despite how ridiculous it is, then it's time to look, because it's the agenda at work. For instance, the idea about human-caused climate change is a scientific, it's scientific imbecility. And yet, even though it's been demolished, and more scientists that at one time were in favor of it are coming out and saying, actually, it's a nonsense, the political policy is still pushing on as if it's real. Why? Because it's just an excuse. And one of the things that they have used this excuse to impose upon people increasingly are these twiddly so-called green light bulbs. Now, let's look at this from it's ludicrous, but they still push it on perspective. These light bulbs, first of all, the light they give off is absolutely rubbish. They don't give off a light anything like those of the incandescent light bulbs that we've had up to this point. And it was just great to come to my hotel in Zagreb, and I look in the light bulbs in the room, as I always do, to see what they are. And they were incandescent, yes. Because I've been on a tour through Australia and New Zealand and America. These bloody twiddly things are everywhere, right? And they say they save energy. They don't if you switch them on and off. And have you noticed that's what you tend to do with light bulbs? You switch them on and off. Well, when you do often, they're not even more energetically efficient. Then you look, and this has been scientifically shown to be in experiments, they give off radiation, here we go again, and lethal chemicals cumulatively. There are people who have got as close to them as they would to a normal light with no problem, and suddenly they've got massive rashes on their face that are there for permanently. They will not go away. And then there's just the little matter that these light bulbs contain mercury. And mercury is absolutely lethal. In Remember Who You Are, when I'm talking about these light bulbs, I print in full the British kind of safety manual for what you do if one of these things breaks. And it's everything virtually short of evacuate the building. It's extraordinary what they say you have to do if one of these things breaks, which light bulbs tend to do. And there was a woman in America, they want to make them compulsory there, starting through beyond 2012. But of course, they've got lots of people now think, well, I'll be green and I'll put these light bulbs in. Well, she bought some, and one of them broke in her daughter's bedroom. So she then called Home Depot, where she bought them from, and asked what she did. And they said, well, you better call the state government, which she did. And they said, well, you're going to have to call this company in to basically clean up the poison, the toxic mess. $2,000 she was charged to clean up the effects of one of these light bulbs in one room in her house. And if you go on the internet and you put in words to the effect of, green light bulbs, consequences, dangers, anything like the words like that, you'll see story after story of the health effects in many, many different ways of these bulbs. So you put all that together and you think the idea of using these bulbs is crazy. Okay. But they've gone on beyond that in the European Union, and they're doing this in other parts of the world. They're not encouraging you only to use these bulbs. They're telling you you must, and they're banning, they have banned in European Union,